We have come to explore Atlanta's spookiest cemetery.
Today we're at Oakland Cemetery, walking the grounds and taking in the spooky Halloween sights.
National adventure. This is Andrew. I'm Alison. This is Kiara, Carolina, and Chloe. This week we're in the cemetery with, well, you tell me.
4 people came to a park and actually come to cemeteries.
Oakland Cemetery was one of Atlanta's popular spots to go and visit.
It may seem a little bit weird to us today, but when cities and downtowns were just forming, people would find themselves strolling through the winding paths of curated gardens and stopping to rest under a shaded tree for picnics. Kind of hard to imagine having a picnic by a cemetery, but they did. And many of the parks that we have today were actually caused by the evolution and planning of the historic cemeteries.
Do you think it's weird that people came to cemeteries and they didn't have actual parks?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where people are laid to rest, but people would come walking here and they had lots of gardens and lots of people spent time here. But it's interesting to see all of the different architecture and the gravestones and
them die.
and the flowers that they have out.
Yeah.
In the early 19th century, in this era, death was more frequent as waves of disease swept the world and people had shorter life expectations. The emphasis on death was actually an idea people were more accustomed to and comfortable with. People wanted a place where they could be celebrated and remembered, a home for the afterlife. And so the idea of a picnic in the cemetery may not be that weird after all. Although it's still not the same as a weekend at Grandma's.
Are you guys finding the dates when you guys were born?
Yes, we're looking for dates close to our birthdays.
I found one 4 days apart.
I found somebody who died on my birthday, but not in the same year.
But yet,
No.
neither have I either.
Honestly, I hope I don't, because it's a little spooky. I'd rather look at the trees and enjoy the landscape.
It's really pretty to walk through and see magnificent old trees like this. You can see beautiful green lush trees as well as other gardens that they have planted around some of the cemeteries. So it is kind of a garden. I could see how back in the 1800s how people would come just to see the trees and the flowers.
Many cemeteries began to create distinct separations for where the living and the dead would reside, while still inviting the public in, but they had hard boundaries, including landscape features and fences designed where you could enter and where you could exit.
Why did someone get a big statue right where they died?
This was a time period of extravagant statues and headstones that created picturesque views, and they resembled more of a sculpture garden at the museum than a final resting place. But people flocked to cemeteries for picnics, hunting, and even carriage racing. And due to the popularity, many cemeteries created maps, issuing guidebooks and posting rules for the visitors. But at the same time, burial grounds started to get very expensive and crowded and dangerous. At the turn of the 20th century, cities became overcrowded and land values skyrocketed. Ideas began to shift in the 20th century about how space should be used, and people began to prioritize private amenities instead of cemeteries, especially when pop culture began to portray the creepy side of spending time with the dead. So new cemeteries were planned, and they were planned on the outside of the towns, allowing for larger spaces where burials could happen and keep them away from where most people were living.
You ready? Let's go!
Today, cemeteries offer tours, they offer events, and a lot of the events and tours are fun. They've got haunted tours, scavenger hunts, or love stories. They also have civil rights and war stories. If you go to the Oakland Cemetery website, their history and gardens, they have more about Oakland as well as upcoming tours and events that you can join. And then you can actually come to the cemetery, walk the grounds, and the foundation will offer you many different types of the tours. They've got overview guides, and they also have special topic guides, and they offer both guides. They have both guided tours in private and in groups, and schools can come as well. So if you want to tour the cemetery at your own pace, they also have several options for self-guided tours.
We officially have walked the entire cemetery, and at the end, we found a wedding. Okay, so in the end, was it spooky? Or was it kind of fun?
I think it was both.
A thumbs up from you? Is a thumbs up from Chloe? All right, was it a thumbs up or a thumbs down from you? A thumbs up. So spooky, not spooky? I think the vote's in that it's actually a fun place to come walk in an afternoon, especially on a fall afternoon day, and enjoy.
So we don't see any witches. But,
Witches?
yeah, but they went all away.
Did you see any ghosts?
Yeah, but they went away. I saw witches. I saw those stuff, but they went away.
Well, whether you saw them or not, we hope that you have a spooktacular Halloween, and thank you so much for joining us on this adventure.